So hello, everyone. I'm Desiree Robertson. I'm the Director of Training and Product Design here at Mentor National. And I also run my own holistic health coach business called Soul to Root Wellness LLC, which is run out of St. Petersburg, Florida. So I'm so glad to be here. My work entirely and focuses on holistic health and specifically around BIPOC women and girls. So at Mentor, I am responsible for driving and executing Mentor's vision for quality training, development, product design. So prior to coming to Mentor, I did run one of our mentoring affiliates called the Mentor Memphis Grizzlies for about 5 years, where I worked with about 64 youth and mentoring organizations there in the city. And I ran my own Girls Inc. mentoring program. So I have that practitioner hat. I am passionate and committed to actually bringing mentoring and wellness to the BIPOC community. And I'm super excited today to be participating in today's event and connecting with all of our amazing panelists who will be joining us today. So before we get into the panel, we have the privilege of hearing from Nasa Ware, an ALKU scholar and the founder of Girls in Life, Real Life Sanctuary, which is a mentorship program for young Black and brown women ages 12 to 16. She is currently in her freshman year at Howard University, where she is studying political science and is on the pre-law track. So, Nasa, over to you.
My name is Neda Kellogg. I'm a first-year political science major on the pre-law track at Howard University, located in Washington, D.C. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, where I graduated from the John D. O'Brien School of Mathematics and Science. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, as mentorship is something that I'm so passionate about. I've had the opportunity to work at and intern at so many places where mentorship is their sole focus or a part of their mission, such as the Center of Teen Empowerment, Madison Park Development Corporation, the Boston Student Advisory Council, so on and so forth. And I've had the pleasure of working with so many amazing people that I consider mentors, such as Miss Julia Mejia, Miss Rachel Rollins, and Miss Ayanna Presley, and so many others. So I'm grateful to be here. I've had a variety of mentors, as I am a Summer Surge and Minds Matter Boston alum, where I'm provided with mentors from those programs. And I was also a part of Street Litigators Academy, which actually gave me really great mentors that I'm still very close to this day. I would have to say one of my proudest moments with Girls in Real Life Sanctuary was watching my mentee get inducted into the Red Sox Scholars Program, because that was one of the very first programs I was inducted into, and Red Sox Scholars definitely changed my life so much and had such an impact on how great I did in school and outside of school. And I honestly do not know where I would be without the Red Sox Scholarship Program. So being able to kind of give her the access to that program and then watch her go all the way through with it and become a member was very full circle for me. I would say that the biggest obstacle with Girls in Real Life Sanctuary, or even just being a mentor in general, is just that realization that you can't help everyone. And when you're so passionate about giving your knowledge to the people that you know need it, sometimes it can get discouraging to know that not everyone's going to be receptive to the information or even be able to apply the information that you're giving them. I am particularly interested and passionate about multi-generational mentoring. I think that there is a lack of respect for both aspects of the mentee-mentor relationship. Conventionally, mentors are older than their mentees. However, it's important for older people to recognize and value the importance of youth voice and allow themselves to be pushed by the younger generations, because younger generations have been the backbone and the catalyst of so many movements that have actually progressed us in positive directions, as have older generations. And I think once younger people and older people come together and realize the benefit of being taught by each other, we'll be able to just progress as a nation economically, socially, and in so many more ways. People of all age groups are so informed and so educated and knowledgeable about their perspectives. And that's why it's only right that every age group, every generation has an equal voice at every table, because it's so critical in the development and the improvement of a lot of spaces, systems, and institutions that we're trying to change to make our communities better. I look at life as a really big marathon that everybody's running just on different tracks and taking different paths. And so I live by the motto that whenever you have the opportunity to make someone else's marathon easier, you should take it. And so I would advise young women who are interested in becoming mentors to do it, because you never know whose life you may change by offering any knowledge, resources, or skills that you have. And I would advise young women who are interested in becoming mentees to go for it. Be receptive to the information you're receiving. Be open-minded to the people that you're meeting, because you never know who you're going to meet, who's in a position that you may want to be in, or somebody that could be so different from you could potentially change your life in so many ways. I would say, and I mentioned this before, but I would say one thing I wish I would have known before entering a mentor relationship is the importance of both sides of the relationship. A mentor relationship is definitely give or take, and I think oftentimes a mentee feels like they're there to just take the information, but you never know what information you could be giving your mentor that could change a lot of things about their lives too. So just kind of knowing the value of your voice, even if you are a mentee in a mentoring relationship. So again, I'm Neda Kellogg, a first-year political science major on the pre-law track at Howard University. I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Neda, for taking the time to share your perspective and experiences with us all today. It is so great to hear from young people who are working at the forefront of the mentoring movement. So and now I'd like to introduce you to our amazing 4 panelists. As Vice President, Community Relations and Social Impact at the Los Angeles Sparks, Natalie White focuses on strategic community partnerships, social justice, and youth basketball initiatives. She has expanded on these passions as the founder and CEO of Natalie White Basketball, LLC, and A10 Attention Foundation, Inc., which offers basketball camps and academic mentoring to young people. In addition to being a mother, philanthropist, self-discovery coach, and author and student pilot, Neda Kellogg is the founder and executive director of Project DIVA International, a self-discovery organization dedicated to helping Black girls live their vision, articulate their truth, and live financially successful lives. So when our next panelist was a freshman in high school, Sanah Jivani was founded the Love Your Natural Self Foundation, an organization that empowers individuals to accept themselves by encouraging self-love, positive internal dialogue, and self-care. This year, we're extremely lucky to have her as one of our mentor ambassadors. She is currently serving as the Community Engagement Manager at Generation Hope. TyTeeona Howard works as the Corporate Partnership Manager at Boulder Options, a Minneapolis-based mentoring organization, and over the past year has been one of the amazing contributors to Mentor's upcoming youth-led advocacy guide. So I welcome you all. So to start, I'd love to hear from each of you on the ways you've been impacted by a mentoring relationship, either as a mentor or a mentee.
Yeah, I am happy to jump in. So first of all, I'm so excited to be here. Mentoring has been absolutely instrumental to my life, and I have definitely been deeply impacted by mentoring relationships. One of the first examples that I can remember that really stands out is when I was 12, I was diagnosed with a hair loss condition called alopecia. I lost all of my hair pretty much overnight. It was very traumatizing at that age and very scary. And so, of course, when I went to school wearing a wig, there was a lot of pushback. I was bullied a lot. It was a pretty difficult time to be that age and going through that. And I remember at some point I was sitting in the girls' locker room crying with a mean note I had just gotten in my locker titled 50 Ways to Go Kill Yourself. It was just a really extreme, painful moment. And I'm crying and crying and crying. And one of my coaches, Coach Linville, comes up to me and asks if I want to be the president of our anti-bullying organization. This makes no sense to me because I was being bullied so badly. But she tells me that you may not know how to use your voice to stand up for yourself yet, but if you start by standing up for others, I just see who you could be, and I just see the leader that you are. And I think having her jump in as a mentor at a time where I didn't even believe in myself was just this beautiful, beautiful moment. I feel like she not only saw me for the pain that I was in, but she saw the beautiful life that I was going to have and everyone and everything that I could be. So she was one of my first mentors, and really changed my life. And now I help run a mentoring program. So it feels it's all come full circle to have someone believe in you at your lowest of your lows. I clearly went without my wig. I accepted myself. I feel confident. And now I can help kind of give back in that way.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
That was beautiful. I am also happy to be here amongst these amazing women. And when I think about mentoring, being mentored, I call myself being grown at 18. I was frustrated with life at home. I didn't want to be there. So I graduated on a Friday. I left home that Monday without a plan. And I quickly learned how important relationships are. So for 3 years, I actually was homeless, couch hopping from cousins and friends' homes until one of my cousins, my cousin Debbie, took me in. And she really ensured that I learned how to sustain myself as I moved from homelessness to living on my own successfully. So at 21, she threw me a big 21st birthday party and ushered me into my first apartment. And like you were saying, Sanah, I actually felt like she saw me, and it was like, now it's full circle. So 15 years later, my organization has helped over 5,000 girls around personal identity as well as around relationships. And so, yeah, I'm really, really excited to be on this panel today, speaking as a mentor to so many girls along with my team. So I believe that, you share what you learn, Thank you for asking.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a unique situation because I work for the program that gave me my first mentoring experience, ironically, 10 years later. So for me, I was paired with my mentor at the age of 12, and it really allowed me that opportunity to grow into my own and like discovered who I want to be, as well as getting advice from someone outside of like a family member, outside of like knowing my whole story. I think was really impactful for me to see another woman be able to explain what life is like through their lens, and how it kind of made a ripple effect in me knowing how to deal with situations as I became older, because I actually had someone explain those to me who's not necessarily directly connected to me. So from that experience, I was blessed with the opportunity to mentor in college. I mentored over 40 students as a senior through my scholarship I won. So it was kind of bringing them along through the journey and explaining to them the experience of what college life was going to be like. And that was kind of cool to see, especially the freshmen kind of attach themselves to me as a vocal point for them through their experiences, and kind of ask for advice about, hey, like I'm going through this and I know you've been through something similar, and what can I do? What should I do? And kind of help guide them through that process. And now working for Bolder Options and having that full circle moment. It's a lot of full circle moments that people have been saying, and seeing how that one experience that only lasted for a year has transitioned to a 10-year long experience.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here today to speak about mentor, mentee, and life experiences. For someone who's been in sports management, who's started their sports career at age 5, I started playing basketball. 5th grade, I knew I wanted to go to college. But what I didn't know is just the adversity and everything I would face being in a male-dominated field. So my mentor came along in college. One of my mentors came along in college at a critical point in my life, and really understanding the importance of being confident in who you are and what you bring to the table, and then also just how to use your voice. So my mentor, Felicia Hall Allen, who's still a mentor today to me, is just a beautiful phenomenal Black woman who speaks very bold and very unapologetically who she is. And there were times when, I know I was doing amazing things, but I would never talk about it. I was very, I still remain very humble, but a lot of times, people take that as like you're bragging on yourself, or, you're just, being very arrogant. But I learned how to use my voice and to help others. Like, we have to talk about things because your situation and your experience and your journey can help someone else. I didn't get to where I am without help along the way. And this encouraged me to be a mentor. So and to really help other young girls navigate through the space in life. And really it started when I volunteered for Big Brothers Big Sisters. I will never forget that opportunity. And it really opened my eyes about the different backgrounds and what you can bring to a child's life just by sharing your experience. So, and that has catapulted to, it hasn't been a gap in me being a mentor to someone. As I look to my mentors, I have two. I have a female and a male, and it's a great balance for me. And it's been just unbelievable because I have a lot of questions.
Thank each one of you for answering that particular question, and good to get to know each one of you a little bit deeper. So this next question is really for all of you all to speak to. Thinking about the great testaments that you just shared about the power of relationships. And I always love hearing those individual stories. It actually definitely reminds me of why I do this work. So based on those experiences, could you share what do you see the unique benefits of mentorship for girls and young women? So if you can expound upon anything that you'd like to share with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great question. I think there's just so many unique challenges women experience. For example, I spoke about having alopecia and losing my hair as a young woman. That had huge implications. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and I think navigating that as a young woman has huge implications. I just remember when I first lost my hair, I did a Google search, and I remember I was like, woman of color with alopecia, 7th grade. Like, I was just trying to find someone who like had my story and looks like me. And it was really hard back then. I couldn't find anyone. And so I just promised myself that one day I wanted to, be the role model that I needed. I think especially being a woman and navigating beauty standards, like that is so difficult. And I wanted someone who might understand that experience. And so, I really worked hard to build my confidence and try to be that strong, woman for others. And I think like that just meant the world to me. And I actually, a quick anecdote is I got to walk in this parade, and this little girl came up to me, and she is just crying, and she pulls off her wig. And I was wearing like a really frilly dress that day. And she was like, I always see princesses in this parade, but I didn't know princesses didn't have to have hair. And I just was like so happy that I could be that person for her. And it was such a cool moment. I think like women are strong, resilient, amazing, and empowered. And just having a mentor who understands both the strengths and challenges of being a woman, I think just means the world. So I think that representation specifically matters. And it matters to see yourself in others. And I think it can make a big difference.
Thank you for sharing.
Oh, Sanah, you hit it on the, like, that's beautiful. Representation definitely matters. It's funny that you say that because I'm natural because of the girls, like the middle schoolers and high schoolers. It took me a long time to love my natural hair because my mom relaxed my hair like at 11. And so I'm now 50, and I had relaxed hair for all of those years. And so the girls really have, it's this, the benefits of mentorship is this unique intergenerational thing, right? Like we're all learning together. And I just feel like we were not put here on this earth to live in silos. So I feel we are designed to share our wisdom and our talents with each other so that we are assisted in this life as it unfolds in front of us. the benefits of mentorship for girls and emerging young women, from my perspective as a almost elder, is the opportunity to envision and embody possibilities while still navigating like this day-to-day idea or visions of our manifestations. So yeah, I think that the sisterhood that TyTeeona talks about, it's imperative.
Totally agree. Thank you.
Oh, beautifully said. Like, oh, wow. For me personally, I would say, in the words of Viola Davis, you need to be able to see the life that you want to manifest for yourself in order for it to be real. And I think that that is a perfect representation of why mentoring is not only important, but also being mentored by someone that looks like you. Even though I've been experienced mentoring at the age of 12, my mentor was a white woman. I love her to death. We literally still hang out. So she's great. But I think that experience of being mentored by Black women once I entered college was a very unique situation. I've been surrounded by Black women my whole life, but to be actually like sat down and guided through in a way that I haven't had before definitely allowed me to appreciate my Blackness in a way that I haven't before. Like, I've always loved myself, always been confident in the skin that I'm in, but it's like a different level of like confidence where it's like, I will vocalize it to the end of earth now. And I wasn't like that before. So I think that was an experience that I've had, like a very similar experience to Neda with my hair journey. I had it straight for a really long time. My mom, that flat iron on and like the hot comb, you know, if you don't, that's okay. So it was an experience like that. And then I had my big chop. It was my freshman year in college. And I called up, actually, she was my mentor my freshman year, and she had her natural hair through her whole life. She's from Liberia. And she was like, yeah, like whenever you're ready, let me know. And I called her like at 1 a.m, and she dropped everything. And she would just keep calling me like, you coming? And after that experience, it was just like a whole, like being welcomed into a community of like women who was like, okay, you're entering this new stage of life, but you're not entering it alone. And I think that is one of the beautiful aspects of mentoring and like unionship from it.
Thank you so much.
Wow, TyTeeona, you gave me chills when you said Viola Davis. So all of you who haven't seen The Woman King, please go see it. You talk about the essence of beauty, strength, courage, seeing a bunch of powerful women, brilliant, just showing the confidence. I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna go see that again. I just love to see us on screen in that light. But there are a lot of unique benefits of mentorship. And I tell you, I wouldn't be where I am today without the people I met on my journey throughout my career, whether it was advice or introductions to key stakeholders, understanding the power of networking. And by the way, it's never too early or late to start networking. One thing that I would like to offer advice for young women: when you go to events or different things, your purpose is to be there to be introduced to others, to get to know other people within your field, within your career, who can help catapult you. It's not to go around and to hang around the people that you already know. Get over that fear, get out of your comfort zone and set a goal. I used to set a goal of meeting 10 new people when I went out to events, because realistically, 10 is a challenge, because you only have a couple of minutes to really speak with someone especially in that type of social setting. And I just feel that girls and young women need to understand that they're not alone. They're not alone. Support is key. And then I think empowering women is the key to breaking barriers, promoting confidence. And I'm gonna keep saying that word confidence, because I think a lot of times when we have a vision of what we want to do, how we want to do it, we lack confidence to get it done. And that's going to be throughout life, or whether you're a teenager, mid-30s, speaking, I heard, Neda, you're 50 years old. My 50th is next year. And sometimes it creeps up on me, but I just go and say, look, I don't have the spirit of fear in me. We're gonna get this done. So really understanding your worth and your value. I think one of Oprah's Sunday conversation, and one of the things she said is, when you undervalue what you do, the world will undervalue who you are. And I was like, that is so true. That is so true. So we've earned a seat at the table, and not just to sit and be silent, but to use our voice to advocate for the things that we want, for the things that we need, and for the things that we deserve. Because one thing else I think that Oprah said is that you become what you believe. So, mentorship and just the benefits of it, and what TyTeeona said is about really finding someone that you connect with, that looks like you, that's in the same, profession or career, and that can really, really offer that tangible advice. It's not about just checking things off the box with mentorship. You got to get something out of it on both sides. So.
Yeah, you all give me chills. I turned 50 in December, and I decided to go gray. I used to dye blonde, headed long, short. This is me, and I'm embracing it. So thank you all for sharing your wonderful journeys about the mentoring relationship experience. So this next one is actually for Neda. So thinking about your organization, Project DIVA International, was created specifically to meet the needs of Black girls. Can you expand on the opportunities that your organization offers and how you've seen participants impacted by these experiences?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. So we basically give our future Black women leaders right now barrier-breaking opportunities, right? Black girls have tons of information flung at them regarding their history in this country, their identity, their beauty, their power, their finances, and how they go about living these things out loud. So we make time for the American Black girls specifically, yet all girls who join us intentionally, to slow down, to dissect if the information coming at them fits with their truth and their vision for their lives. That's to be able to slow our babies down to say, okay, all that you're seeing, all that you're experiencing, is it your truth, right? So we do this through having Black women, like TyTeeona says, it's very important that they see us, right? We've been there, we've done that, we have the wisdom, and their peers, right? Because they're going through it together also, coach and guide. So we're sharing their stories, we're sharing our stories of challenge and triumph as directional markers of wisdom. Our leaders facilitate a set of core academies. We have a set of advanced academies, and we also have 2 clubs. There's also time slotted for one-on-one sessions. The impact on the girls is that we're seeing is the room to breathe, first and foremost, and know that they are not by themselves. I mentioned earlier, we're not born to live in silos. So these young ladies are afforded, and these are 6 through 12, and then we have our alumni space. They are afforded opportunities to accept real-time experiences in the directions of their truth. And they are given space to be confident, speaking to Miss Natalie's point, to be confident in owning their why they choose to do everything in their lives, right? They get to choose it, it's their birthright. So this is leaving them with less anxiety and depression through their own inspired senses of agency.
Great. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. This one is for TyTeeona. As someone who also works for a mentoring organization, as you mentioned, how does that resonate for you? If you want to speak a little bit further about your experience in that, what are some effective ways that you've seen mentors elevate girls?
Yeah, so how it affected me, anytime someone used to ask me what I wanted to do as a kid, it was never like, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, I want to be that or the other. The answer always boiled down to, I just want to impact someone's life in some shape or form. And I think that experiencing mentoring and being mentored definitely allowed me to elevate in that area. in more ways than I could possibly explain. But in specifics to kind of the work that Bolder Options do and how I've seen mentoring affecting women or girls, I would say that the biggest way I've seen it impact was a sense of sisterhood, which I feel like is really important and is not as valued to the level as it should be in sometimes, but definitely that sense of sisterhood and that sense of community with women that sees your vision and want to help you get to your vision. So I think that was one of the biggest things that I've noticed. And the other one was just the ability, like, once again, like Natalie said, like to speak up for yourself, elevate your own voice, especially when you're in spaces and areas where that is not necessarily shunned, but also not necessarily acceptable in a certain, like in a way. I don't know necessarily the right word I want to use, but yeah, I think that's kind of something that I've noticed, that once women and girls have gone through the program of being mentored, they definitely see a change of confidence, self-confidence, self-resilience, that is really like magical to see. So yeah, that would be probably my answer to that.
Great, thank you so much. All right, so this one is actually directed to Sanah. According to the White House Project report, benchmarking women's leadership, women make up 73% of all nonprofit employees, but only 45% of nonprofit CEOs identify as female. For organizations with larger budgets, this number goes down to 21%. So Sanah, as someone who founded a nonprofit at a really young age, I'd love to get your perspective on this. So what tools or advice were you given that motivated you to start Love Your Natural Self Foundation? And did you have mentors, again, along the way who guided you? And I know the answer is yes, but we want to just hear if you have a perfect example for this. Right?
Awesome. Thank you for that question. Yeah, I think the number one thing that drove me, as I can tell with many of these amazing panelists, is lived experience. I think when you go through something, or when you don't have what you need to heal, like, you really want to make sure others have that. And so, of course, as I've shared, like, I was in so much pain. I wished I had a role model. I wish I could like accept and love myself. And that's what inspired me to create a curriculum centered around self-love. One of our first ever initiatives was this idea of an international day of self-love. What if there was a day on the calendar where people showed up with their natural hair, they went to a mental health therapist for the first time, they left an abusive relationship? Like, what if there was a day that, like, we just did something boldly for ourselves and solely for ourselves? And that was my dream. I decided I wanted it to be February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, because you have to love yourself before fully jumping into something with others. And I just remember being 15 and coming up with this. And I remember I came home and I was like, Mom, don't bother me tonight because I'm going to start a holiday. And that's like the exact phrase I told her. And I just remember I got upstairs and I was just Googling, like, how do you start a holiday? Like, how do you start a day? And I think often people look at young people and they think, wow, that's so naive, but I think that's game changing. I think, like, it takes great courage to reimagine. And I just feel like that's a lot of what drove me at that young age, was just that courage to reimagine and think, like, hey, if I want to do it, I can do it. And so I started off by hosting a day at my school, but of course, eventually I ran into logistic challenges as other campuses caught on and they heard and they wanted an International Day of Self-Love. Even out of state campuses, my babysitting money stopped cutting it. Like, I needed money. And so then I started looking up things like, what do you do when you have an idea to make a difference, but you have no money? And like things like grants started coming up. And I remember every single grant that I looked at required something called a 501c3. And I was like, what is this random combination of numbers and letters, and how do I get it? And so, of course, I think that's where mentors stepped in, right? Like, I came to people with these crazy ideas. I came to them and said, I need this 501c3. When you're that young, when you're 15, you can't file for that by yourself. Like you need, I think at least 3 adults, if I remember it correctly, who are willing to sign on with you. And it was just one of those things that I was like, I came to some people and they were like, you're too busy, like focus on school, you're too young, that's going to be too much to manage. I don't know if you can do all that. Like, this is a really crazy idea. You can't start a holiday. And I think there were other people and mentors who were really helpful that said, like, let's do it. Like, let's change the world. I'll sign on. I'll get you what you need. Host a fundraiser at my restaurant, host a bake sale at this campus. Like, I have some little things around, like, you know, like I can donate some things and we can host like a giant community garage sale and like, you know, let's like raise some money. And like people who gave that really tangible stuff and realized like, hey, like this is small, but it's mighty, and believed in it in those early days really, really got me to where I am. And at the peak of it, we were hosting, and we still are actually, I think we currently have, this past February 13th, we had 150 campuses celebrate the International Day of Self-Love. So it started with my high school and it really grew, and we impact about 50,000 students a year. And so it's just one of those things that like I think like believing in young people, mentors, just like listening to people's crazy ideas and like knowing that those are the ones that can change the world. And you know, it takes working together.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, thinking this is for Natalie. So Natalie, prior to your work with the WNBA, you worked at Nike. I'm curious what role you feel larger organizations should or can take in serving and supporting youth, and more specifically, what made mentoring a cause you wanted to take on? So have you faced any pushback? And if so, what do you say to people who express resistance to investing in opportunities for young girls and young women?
All right, Desiree, have I faced any pushback? Is that a trick question? Well, you know, I would say as far as, you know, working, you know, 10 years at Nike corporate, I must say that I'm very proud to have worked there. And then also what Nike is doing now to help promote and inspire young girls to continue to play sports. They've been in the forefront, you know, of supporting and inspiring young girls. And to Sanah's, you know, Sanah, when you talk about, you know, just, you know, crazy people thinking that, you know, oh, you can't do this. You reminded me of a book I read called Crazy Faith by Michael Todd. It's only crazy until it happens. That's what we're trying to instill in the young girls. The Game Growers program that Nike started is essentially to help young girls realize the power of sports, because we recognize, and statistically has shown that when girls hit the 8th grade, they're dropping out of sports. So how can we keep them engaged? And that's a program that's been going on in the last 3 years that we've been instrumentally involved in every WNBA team. So it'd be 12 cities that are involved in going out in the community and having these young girls, listening to them like, why is sport important to you? You know, you have friends that have dropped out. What is the reason? Is it because of the coach? Is it because of just the growth, you know, and really self-discovery? It's a lot of different things of why. So instead of adults trying to give reasons, we're going to the youth and having them tell us like, why is this? And what can we do to help? In regards to people supporting and investing in young girls and investing in women's sports, that's one of the gender inequalities in sports sponsorship. You know, in the United States, nearly like 40% of athletes are female, but we only receive 4% of sports media coverage. Where does that take place? So it's not an even playing field. So gender equality in sports sponsorship is just one of the things that can really help, you know, from a marketing aspect, because 84% of people who are the fans, they're interested in women's sports, and there's been a significant growth in, you know, especially with the WNBA and other sports, in attendance and viewership and revenue metrics. But, you know, now it's about like these corporations are asking like, you know, well, what can we do to invest? You know, I think you're asking that question to kind of stall a little bit, because the question is not if and when to invest, is how and where to support the best, to support the brands. And right now with all of these corporations with DEI, you know, and wanting that community impact is basically just really challenging them to really put their money where their mouth is and call them out, because everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon. Yep, diversity and inclusion. But what are you doing? Are you living that truth at home in your everyday life? What are you doing? You know, we can't just do it when you show up at the office. What are you doing every day to make this impactful and to make a difference? So that's some of the things that unfortunately we're still having that challenge day by day, but we're fighting it. We're fighting it.
Yeah, definitely just call them on it. Have a plan and ask for it. So great, thank you so much. So this is a question for everyone. So I'd like to open the conversation back up to think about, when you think about gender inequities, what do you see as the mentoring movement's role in driving a more equitable future? How can individual mentors, mentoring programs, or mentoring advocates be a part of the solution? And we did hear something just from Natalie. So again, feel free to speak on that.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important for mentoring programs to create safe spaces specifically for women. I think it's really also important for mentoring programs to ensure that mentors are diverse and represent the lived experience of mentees. As like someone who works and kind of helps manage a mentoring program right now at a nonprofit called Generation Hope, which Generation Hope is this amazing organization. We help teen parents get their college degrees. So really awesome program. And one of the big components of Generation Hope is matching every scholar with a mentor to make sure that they have the resources to succeed. And I lead the mentor recruitment and the matching process. And one of the things that I've had to do is always think critically about the matching process. You know, accolades and accomplishments and having an amazing resume for a mentor, that's all wonderful. And I know those things go a long way, and it's great to see someone who's really accomplished, but that accomplishment matters so much more when you can see yourself in them. So like value lived experience just as much as you value those other components. I feel like that's the number one thing we look for when matching our mentors and our mentees, is where do they share lived experience? Where do they share that really human connection? Where can their soul relate to each other, right? And I think like that's really important questions to ask for mentoring programs. I think for a long time, starting a nonprofit so young, I felt a lot of pressure being a role model to these high school and middle school students I was speaking to. And I used to think like, I can never make a mistake. Like, you know, everyone really admires me because I started a nonprofit. And then one day I just got it that that's not it at all. It's sure the nonprofit's cool, but they admire me because I'm choosing to be who I am, and because of the things that I went through to get me to feel inspired to take this initiative. And so I think like, again, I don't think any students ever come up to me and said like, hey, I relate to you, or will you be my mentor because you like, you know, did XYZ. Like, I think I've had way more students come up to me and say, hey, like, you shared this and this is what I'm going through. I don't feel beautiful. I don't feel confident. And I love to see your confidence. So like really, really, really capture that lived experience and recognize it as valuable as kind of professional experience. I think we're often a culture that values like accolades and professional experience, and we forget about the lived experience components.
That's powerful, Sanah, because I feel that our organization is successful because of that as well. Again, it's the examples, right? Actions teach, not words. I'd love to share how valuable it is for us to look at our young people as right now leaders as well. We need to be okay with trusting that they do have an idea of what's best for the directions of their lives. And a lot of times we're telling kids, like you said earlier, like, you know, you're too young, you have all these things, when you know what works for you. And you know what we tell our girls is like, all of us adults are waking up and living, we're waking up and moving towards, or doing the things that we do towards our lifestyles, right? So our girls know what type of lifestyles in their head that they really want to live, whether it's maintaining it from what their parents have given them or enhancing it, right? So, you know, looking at them as our right now leaders, we should also be the bumpers for and not the controllers over their lives. the more we can talk with girls, be with girls, guide girls into knowing that they are capable of the visions that they do have, the more they will be inspired to act, right? When we then need to give them room to literally do the thing that they are speaking of. You know, that is where the ultimate magic is. We literally have 2 girls in our organization right now that have started their businesses in 8th grade. And these came from them telling us, like, you know, I want to start this business. You know, we're like, okay, let's do it. And going from 8th grade, they're now in 9th grade, balancing school and their businesses, right? And they're still doing extracurricular things. They've enlisted adults who love them enough to take on parts of, you know, things that they may need assistance with, but they have it down in their head on how they want to move. We also have 3 girls that I'm a student pilot. And so we have 3 girls and a mom who's a part of the organization. They're flying, right? You know, they have these visions of either becoming a commercial pilot or owning their own jet, or not for sure, just want to make sure that they have a foot in the door with their private pilot's license to then dream of what the next space is, right? They know what they want in their lives. So I definitely agree with you in regards to like those lived experiences. When they can get with others that look like them, that have these lived experiences, and then we give them that environment, that soil to do their thing. I mean, it's about fumbling through, right? It's about figuring it out. And so we give them that space to do it. They're golden. That's where the magic happens.
I would also like to add, like, for example, what my organization, Bolder Options, is doing, kind of referencing what Natalie said about, you know, putting in the effort and actually being intentional with the work you do. Like, for example, we're going under like a practice of like being more intentional of like, how do we engage in like cultural differences in situations like that. Restorative practices, there you go. Yeah, so we're going through like restorative practices right now where we agreed as an organization that it's important for us, especially those of us who are not of certain communities, to how do we actually gain that cultural competence to integrate, or not necessarily integrate, but engage ourselves in those communities and allow those communities to accept us in that space. And if they don't, that's okay, but always make it a priority to know that we are always a resource, whether they accept us or not. And I think that is something that is important that we're doing. We also want to make it clear that your identity is just as important. And our program staff has undergo certification of the LGBTQ+ awareness, and they work directly with our youth. So they learn different techniques and strategies for how to have these conversations with you who say that their first time coming out is to one of us, and they don't know how to come out to their parents, or they don't know how they should express themselves, or if it's even safe to. So having that experience and those techniques is really beneficial for us as an organization, because these are, at the end of the day, these are people. These are actual people with actual life experiences. And if a space like we're supposed to have that's supposed to impact them in a positive way is flawed, all you're doing is failing them as a person that could really create some big ripple effects in their life. So I think that is one reason why it's really important. Yeah, so that's my opinion on that.
All right, just to add on, TyTeeona, it's about accountability. It's really about accountability, and as a mentor, you make the time. It's not about, just, obviously the physical nature of, being a mentor and making yourself available, but you're emotionally invested, in these women, in these young girls. To whom much is given, much is required. And people need to understand that if you are a servant leader, and your mentors, I look at it in the sports realm of being role models. We have the power to influence individuals and provide the resources to be that guiding North Star, for them. I think everybody has mentioned about, the diverse backgrounds is very important of how we're connecting, with individuals. one thing as far as the mentees is informational interviews. As much as you're excited about, selecting a mentor, find out more about him. So now I love when you say Google is your friend. Google is my friend. If it's not on Google, I don't even think it even exists, So Google informational interviews, find out more about that person so that it's not a conversation of discovery. You've already done your homework. You've already done your research. One thing at the Los Angeles Sparks is departmental mentorship opportunity or shadowing. So there are a lot of young girls who are interested in sports, but they don't know what areas, they don't know the positions, they don't know the job descriptions. So having the opportunity for them to really sit with every department and you will know immediately, well, I'm interested in that. Well, I'm not interested in this, well, I thought I was interested in that. Oh man, I didn't know all this take place before a game before you play at crypto.com arena. And then the We Are Girls program. We Are Girls program is bringing diverse backgrounds and women that like yourself that are on this panel of different backgrounds of how you can expose different things to youth. And that's what we do, because we don't know what they're interested in. So it's like, okay, it's the discovery part of understanding. Oh, I never thought about that. Yes, I love to cook. Oh yes, well, okay, I never considered myself to be an artist. So those are the things that they will get out of it. And then being inclusive into an environment where they learn, share, and grow. We must listen. They have to be able to share what it is and not put words in their mouth. I think, Neda, you said it best. It's like, we can't control them. We want them to understand that you have the power to direct your own path. And that was kind of what led me into the Attention Foundation, put my nonprofit hat on now, is that our mission is to inspire and contribute to the development of student athletes as leaders in the community through sports and education. That's how I got started. So I'm giving back what I've learned throughout this journey. And I understand what the target focus is. I grew up in Fort Valley, Georgia, small town, not a lot of people, go a lot of places, have been where I've been. So it's like servicing those families, that middle to low income, at-risk youth, those student athletes, really providing that career and education advancement conversation, financial literacy, STEM sports, and mentorship is obviously a part of it. And then sports programming, because I want them to, I want them to see it in order to believe. I want them to see it. And plus, you have someone that looks like you that has done it, that can give you tangible experiences. Because if I had to go back to grad school now, I could really teach a great class, because it doesn't really teach you the experiences, the work experiences. It's all textbook. Life is not textbook. You need those life experiences once you get out into what we used to say, the real world, because that's what they need. Let's be very transparent. Let's be very transparent and not sugarcoat anything with the youth.
Very nice. Thank you. So continuing to think about, and this is for TyTeeona, to think about what we can do to support young people. You are one of the contributors of Mentor's soon to be launched youth-led advocacy guide. Can you speak to the importance of a resource like this one and give people some idea of what they can expect?
Yeah, so I would like to say a shout out to Mentor Minnesota for even allowing me to be a part of this project. That was a great opportunity. Someone at my job just reached out and said, hey, I know like you studied like political science, international relations, and history. Maybe there's something you'll like. And I was like, oh, absolutely. Like this is my bread and butter. Especially I'm one of those weird kids who actually enjoyed researching in school. So this is like right up my alley. And the great part about this youth advocacy led work that I got to be a part of, it's focused on different ways for youth to actually be impactful in their communities. One of the biggest things that we want to talk about is like sources, and we provide like sources and things of that sort that they could actually go to be involved in their community, whether it's from techniques to do stuff within your school, or it's being part of like legislative work within your state, contacting your representatives, like who is actually your representative, like learning those type of things. The part that I specifically got to work on is involving techniques and places you could go to if you're already in a leadership role, or if you're not and you are experiencing the tolls of your work. Burnout is a very common thing, no matter what field you're in, what stage of life you're in. A 5-year-old could be burnt out from playing with toys all day and they need a nap. So it's like, no matter what stage we provide, I was able to do some research and provide different strategies you can go through with addressing burnout. Another thing is mental health resources. Wanted to make sure that no matter what you're looking for, whether you're looking for a therapist that looks like you're looking for someone to address your concerns or your troubles with coming out, or you are a Spanish speaker and English isn't your first language, like therapists that actually really cater towards what you need and what you're looking for. So providing some outlets and some possible resources for that is something that I was also a part of. So yeah, like in a nutshell, is really just providing resources for youth to actually do the work that they want to do, and also see people that looks like you that is doing that work around your age range as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it when it comes out. So as we near the end of a wonderful, wonderful and informative conversation, I have a two-pronged question for all of you, and feel free to answer whichever side of the question that actually calls to you. What words of wisdom do you have for the young girls interested in getting connected with a mentor? Or what advice do you have for adults in our audience looking to support them?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think to the adults, I just really believe in this power of showing up as who you are and all of who you are in a mentoring relationship. I think it's easy to want to only show your professional side or like your best days. And you think that, gosh, if someone saw how much of a mess I was or saw me on my worst days, like maybe they wouldn't look up to me so much. But that's just not true. I mean, people love you and accept you and are inspired by you because of all of who you are. And I just believe this idea that when you have the courage to be who you are, you inspire others to do the same. So just show up as all of who you are. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. Share your mistakes and just be human. I think who you are matters more than what you do. And I think, again, we forget that. So just value who you are and show your mentees your heart and soul. Show up as your full self. And I think they'll learn a lot.
I love going after you. Because I feel you. Oh my goodness. My advice, I'm gonna piggyback off of that, is for the adults. It's to take a long look at how you are showing up for yourself and then for the young people in your sphere. Several of our girls have mentioned that there are a lot of unhealthy adults around them. And it's not, we know, like we know this. So because we know, make time to deal with your stuff so that you can move into a place of being healthy. Being an example first and foremost means everything to our babies. Actions teach, like I mentioned before, not words. They need to see healthy and not only hear about our communities needing to heal. And then support organizations that are standing on being the examples, not just talking about it, but being about it.
Yes, I second all that. I'm gonna go ahead. I know you said pick one, but I have to address both. First, I want to say adults recognize that if you are in a space with youth, whether you want to or not, you will operate as a leadership role. And understand that strong leaders recognize their own faults and their own how far they're able to go. And also they recognize when it's important to step back and allow someone else to lead. That is the sign of a great leader. And if you're able to do that, I guarantee you will have way more positive experiences with youth than otherwise if you are actually allowing that youth to lead. For the youth, I want to say that, life is crazy. Life is short, yet it is the longest thing you will ever experience. So with that being said, it's okay to take it one day at a time. It's okay to know that you don't have all the answers, but there's also nothing wrong with searching for the answers. And I would strongly encourage you to be bold and be confident in your ability of, in any ability that you feel like you have, whether it's sports, whether it's, I want to become a doctor. Put yourself in spaces to actually do that and accomplish those things. As a person who played sports, I understand the discipline of it. And that's one of the key things as if you're disciplined, you really can accomplish your goals. So yes, discipline. I know it's one of the hardest things to do at a young age, but it's one of the most rewarding things that you could get out of life.
All right. I mean, so much great advice, so much great advice. And in summary, I'm like, TyTeeona, I got to say something for the adults and for the young girls, but for the adults, like, be authentic. And I think we all talked about that. Be authentic and show the mentees what it means to be a servant leader. And I'm gonna drop the mic on that one. But for the young girls, be prepared to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Be prepared to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Life is going to throw some curveballs, as TyTeeona mentioned it. And what you have to do is just, you're not going to be prepared for everything that you're going to face. So you gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable, meaning that you gotta divert out of your comfort zone. And I have to speak to myself a lot, because each time when I'm faced with an issue or with an opportunity, and that little doubt tries to creep up in there. It tries, but you have to stop it before it gets planted. You have to stop it, because it could set you back. And as far as a mentor, choose a mentor who share your core values. Your core values, someone who's experienced and accomplished in a profession of your interest. And I mentioned earlier about networking. And with me, I have a mentor and I have a sponsor. And a sponsor is someone that's already at the table where I'm trying to find a seat, that can speak on your behalf. Those are the people that you want to see, that's going to challenge you to grow in new ways and be proactive in scheduling time in person if you can, because it's something about, for me, I tell you, you could be zoomed out. I think TyTeeona talked about being burnt out. Zoomed out is evident as well. So try to get some FaceTime, be in person, whereas, I'm not a coffee drinker, but have some tea or a breakfast or something, and just sit down and really have a nice in-person chat away from these devices. And it will definitely open up your mind to a lot of new things as well. So that's my advice I would like to offer.
So amazing. What an inspiring note to end on. And I am going to say these words: lived experience and confidence. A lot of things were gathered today, but I like those sets of words. So thank you all for joining us for this important conversation and dialogue. It was truly wonderful from hearing from all of your perspectives, and I look forward in finding ways for us to continue to work together. And thank you to all who joined us out there today. I'm so grateful to have so many passionate individuals in the movement working towards a future that is rich in opportunity for all young people. So thank you all.